Good morning, students. Welcome back after 4 days. Students, we have completed our first chapter of business studies. The name of the chapter was Nature and Significance of Management. Theoretical part of the chapter we have done through lectures, and the case studies we will discuss in the class once the school will reopen. So today we are going to start with the second chapter, Principles of Management. You can also make your project reports on this chapter. So kindly listen this chapter very attentively. It will help you in your Viva also if you will make your project on this chapter or this topic. So before starting or before telling you about various principles of management, let's have an introduction. Each and every organization has to follow certain set of rules or certain guidelines they have to follow so as to achieve their objective. These guidelines are known as the principles of the management. So, what are principles of management? First of all, a principle refers to a fundamental truth. That means these are the fundamental truth. Fundamental truth means these are something which are there to give results, which are supposed to give results. That means if you are going to follow these principles, definitely you will get some positive results. For example, I'll simply give you one example. There is one principle of management, that is division of work. This principle states that if we divide the work among employees, workers or employees do the work in their best with their best efforts. They give their 100%. They help in achieving the goals effectively with the specialization also. For example, we have a task of doing some work, like if we have to make a pen, suppose one employee is making refills only, one employee is making body of the pen, one employee is busy in putting the refill in the pen body only, and one employee is packing the pen into a packet. If on the basis of this principle of division of work, we have divided the work among people, one person is continuously doing the same work again and again, that means that person is going to get efficient results in the work. So basically, principles are the fundamental truth. That means they are going to give us positive result. Second point is, it establishes cause and effect relationship among two or more variables under given situation. Like the principles of science, the principle of management also develops or establishes the cause and effect relationship. That means if we will do like this, there will be definitely some effect of that. That means, suppose the same example I can continue, or we can also say ki like there is a principle of discipline also. We follow the principle of discipline with you people also. If you will not follow the discipline, we used to punish you, we used to fine you, we used to impose fine on you people, we give you ask you to pay penalty for that. So similarly, there are always a cause and effect relationship among the situations. Then these principles are serve as a guide to thought and action. These principles guide the managers about how to act in a particular situation. Then is, these principles are derived on the basis of observation and analysis and by conducting experimental studies. Students, these principles are not developed overnight. It's not like that ki one night Henry Fayol was sleeping and in the morning he decided ki now I am going to frame these 14 principles, they come into my dream. It's not like that. These principles are formulated or derived on the basis of observation and analysis. He spent long hours on observing the working criteria in the organization, and then only he decided about the principles of management, or by conducting experimental studies. He did the experiments on various human beings in the organization regarding various principles. That when we are going to discuss about principles, you will come to know how these principles are helpful in the organization. So now next is difference between management principles and pure science principles. The first thing is how management principles are different from the pure science principles, that is simple science principles. First difference is management principles are very flexible and pure science principles are rigid. Second is management principles are applied with creativity. Pure science principles are applied in static or the absolute manner. Third is management principles have to keep pace with changes in environment and they do not have to change with time. So let's start with the explanation. Management principles are flexible. That means if we find any need, we can make changes in the management principles. Whereas science principles are rigid. We cannot change science principles. Can we change Newton law of gravitation? No, we cannot change that law. Management principles are applied with creativity. Manager can apply their creative thinking in the principles. But science principles are applied in a static or absolute manner. That means they are to be applied in the way they are developed. Then is management principles have to keep with pace with changes in the environment. If there are changes in the outside environment, we can bring changes in the management principles, but we cannot change the principles of pure science with time. Next comes the management principles versus management techniques. First is management principles are guidelines to action. Management principles guides the person manager how to act in a particular situation, and the management techniques are methods or procedure. Basically management techniques are the methods or procedure that tell us about how we have to perform a particular task step by step. Then is management principles are flexible. Again, I'm telling you they are flexible. They can be changed according to the need of the time. Whereas management techniques are less flexible. We cannot change the management techniques. Next is management principles versus values. Values, ethical values, moral values. Management principles are guidelines for managerial action. Again, the same thing. Management principles are guidelines how to act in a particular situation, whereas values are guideline for human behavior. Values tell us about our behavior only. Management principles are technical in nature. That means it depends upon the situation how to apply these principles. Values are ethical in nature. That means values are moral in nature. In simple words, bache, I'll say you principles of management are the basic guidelines, or these are the fundamental truth that help a manager to get the work done effectively as well as efficiently. So now we are going to discuss about features of management principles. Okay, what are the features of principles of management? The first principle is pervasive. Pervasive, once again, it is universal in nature. That means the principles of management are universal in nature. They are applicable in all types of organization, whether it is a large scale organization or it is a small scale organization, whether it is a partnership organization or it is a sole proprietorship organization. In all types of organization, profit earning organization, NPOs and non-profit organization, all used to follow the principles of the management. In, for example, you can see principles of management to be followed in your home also, in your school, in a hospital, in any of the organization. You can see the principles of management to be followed. Like you must have seen the principle of division of work is there in hospital also. It is there in schools also. Teachers are teaching you according to the subjects allotted to them. That is why we are working efficiently with our work. Second thing is general guidelines. The principles of management are the general guidelines to action. They tell only how to act in a particular situation, but they do not provide us a ready-made solution. That does not mean that it is 100% damn sure that we have followed this principle, the solution is in there in our hand only. We have to make efforts to get the solution also. These are the basic guidelines only to get the work done only. For example, we can say the principle of stability of tenure. I'm simply telling you right now, this principle says that the employees should be stable in the organization. We should not change the employees again and again. So it depends upon organization to organization whether they want the stability of tenure for 6 months or they want the stability of tenure for 1 year. It depends upon organization to organization. Principle will be same, but further implementation maybe depending upon organization to organization. Third is formed by practice and experiments. The principles of management are not formed overnight. Henry Fayol has practiced and experimented or observed many things in the organization before establishing these principles of management. Lot of efforts, lot of observation or experiment work was conducted before establishing these principles of management. For example, principle of division of work, which says that if we divide the work among employees, they will get specialization in doing one particular task. That means the work will be done with great speed. Do you think it will be developed overnight? It must have been practiced over number of employees by dividing the work among them. Then only it would have been concluded that yes, the principle of division of labor leads to specialization. Then is flexible. This principle says that management principles are flexible. They can be applied differently in different conditions. Changes can be made in the principles of management according to the need of the time. Then next is mainly behavioral. Management principles are formed to guide and influence the behavior of the employees working in the organization. It affects the behavior of the employees. For example, we have one principle like principle of discipline, in which we used to say we have to follow the rules and regulations of the organization. If we will not follow the rules and regulations, penalties will be imposed. And employees, in order to save themselves from penalties, definitely they are going to follow the principle of discipline. They will remain in discipline. That means it is affecting their behavior. So the principle of management are mainly behavioral. Next is cause and effect relationship. This says that the principles of management, when they are applied in a particular situation, they give us the better results. That means if we will do this in a particular situation, definitely this will give us a better result. For example, if you will study for long hours, you will get quality time to your education, to your studies, definitely you will get good score in the exams. This is cause and effect relationship. Why did you score good marks? Because you have given quality time to your studies. Then is contingent. Contingent refers means they depend upon the situation prevailing in the organization. Their application and effect depends upon the nature of the organization in which they are applicable. For example, we are having one principle of management, that means spirit de corps, which means unity is strength. We should work as a team. If the organization is a group organization, a partnership firm where a number of people are working together, only there this principle is applicable. But if the organization is a sole proprietorship, how this principle will be applicable where one single person is working, how he will work as a team? So it depends upon situation and it is applicable differently in different organization. So students, various features of principles of management are pervasive, general guidelines, formed by practice and experiments, flexible, mainly behavioral, cause and effect relationship, and contingent. So now we are going to start importance or significance of management principles. Why management principles are important or significant for an organization? First importance is provides manager with useful insight into reality. You know, when managers follow the principles of management, they come to know, they come to learn or face different experiences in their life. They come to learn new things in their life. So management principles help the manager to enhance their knowledge, their skills, their capabilities. It helps them how to deal in the similar problems in future. These principles provide knowledge and better understanding of the circumstances to the manager. These principles help the manager to understand the situation in a better way, and they tell them how to behave in the similar situation in future. So they provide them a deep insight into reality. Next is optimum utilization of resources. From the very beginning, we are talking about Management is the optimum utilization of resources. That means we have to use the resources smartly, whether it is a material resource like machinery or raw material, or it is a human resource. We should use it in an appropriate way. We should not waste it. So the principles of management help in the same thing. They help us in utilizing the principle, help us in utilizing the resources effectively and efficiently. We should not waste the resources. Then is scientific decision. The principles of management help the manager in taking scientific decisions which are based on cause and effect relationship. Decisions should not be based on rule and thumb, by hook and crook. It should not be like this ki blindly we are following a technique, that means we are following. If we are having a better way of doing the things, we should follow that. इट इज़ नॉट लाइक दैट कि वी शुड गो फॉर रूल ऑफ थम ओनली, कि जो पहले फॉलो हो रहा है हम उसको फॉलो करते जाएं. अगर हमारे पास उससे बेटर कुछ वे आउट है करने का, जिसमें वी कैन मेक बेस्ट यूज ऑफ रिसोर्सेज, लिमिटेड रिसोर्सेज यूटिलाइजेशन करके वी कैन गिव बेटर रिजल्ट्स, वी शुड मेक यूज ऑफ दैट टेक्निक ऑल्सो. देन इज मीटिंग changing environment requirement. These principle of management help the managers in meeting the changes in the environment. You know, many environmental changes take place in the business environment. Many changes, like sometimes customer demand change, sometimes political changes are there, sometimes government changes some rules and regulation. So management principles, they train the manager how to implement the changes in that direction. These principles train the manager, they provide training to the managers how to train the employees, how to change the mentality of the employees during the such a situation when government is going to change some rules. जहाँ पे भी कभी कोई भी environmental changes आए, these principles help the managers to adapt or adopt the changes positively. Then is effective administration. Administration means it is the function of the top level management. That means good management. Administration means management. So the principles of the management, they help us in better management or good management of the activities of the organization. For example, principle of unity of command, principle of scalar chain. Unity of command says one person should be there, he should give order to the employees. There should not be number of bosses over the employees, in which the employees will get confused. अगर एक से ज़्यादा boss employees को order देंगे तो definitely employees will be confused whose order to follow. So in this case, this principle help us in better administration. One boss, सबको पता है इसी बॉस का ऑर्डर फॉलो करना है, दैट मीन्स दे आर गोइंग टू गिव देयर 100% टू द ऑर्डर्स गिवन बाय देयर बॉस. प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्केलर चेन सेज कि व्हेनेवर यू हैव टू कम्युनिकेट विद एनी पर्सन, आपको प्रॉपर एक चेन को फॉलो करना चाहिए. इफ देयर आर सुपीरियर अबव यू, यू शुड कम्युनिकेट अकॉर्डिंग टू दैट प्रोसीजर ओनली. उस हायरार्की को फॉलो करके चलना है. यू कैन नॉट ब्रेक दैट चेन. Then fulfilling social responsibility. You know कि business owe many things to the society. We hire many resources from the society as a business organization. We hire human resource also from the society. We have learned in the social objectives of the business also, like business should pay sufficient remuneration or salaries to the employees, or provide employment opportunities to the employees. Similarly, the principles of management helps the business in fulfilling their social responsibility. Like there is one principle, that is the principle of fair remuneration, that which says that we should not differentiate among employees on the basis of gender while paying the salaries or wages to them if they are doing same kind of work. Then is management training, education and research. This principle says that the management principles are scientific judgments and logical thinking. Principle states scientific judgment. That means we are deciding everything on the basis of cause and effect relationship. These principles acts as a base for various research work, and these principles can be taken as a base for providing training to the further management students also in the organization.